And we're live.
Yes, and
Good
finally.
evening, Neil. How are you?
I'm great, Jacqueline. I hope you're well too. And if you're joining us tonight, guys, good evening to you all as well. It's very warm where we are in the northeast of England, so it's I either have to leave my fan off and be a pool of sweat, or if I switch it on, it'll affect my microphone. So we'll try the first method first. Try not to drown in my own sweat. Yeah, and
I
my
had to go out in my coat.
You are in the
It's
coat.
quite chilly here.
Oh no, it's probably
About
because
18 degrees or something.
yeah, I've been working hard in the garden, so I'm probably still cooling down anyway.
Oh, bless you. You've been busy though, haven't you?
Yeah, it's a fairly new house. We've only been in it a short time. We're renovating it back to how it should look, and not some person's handyman dream, all the gear but no idea. So we're just getting there, and it's our first summer in the garden, so we want to try and get it right. Whether the weather will allow us to is a different thing. So fingers crossed, there's much done. I don't mind working in the rain. My skin's waterproof anyway. There's only one hole in it, and that's my mouth. So just keep that shut.
Bless you, yeah. Bet you get a lot of rain where you are anyway compared to down here.
We do. We're right on the coast. It's always foggy at the best of times, and that is just the warm air hitting the cold seafront, and then we get it straight back. But the way I look at it, it acts as a nebulizer. I mean, you've got all that mist and water in the air. It's just like wearing a nebulizer. You don't get a bunged up nose, and your throat's always clear as well.
Yeah. You don't get it frosty there, do you, either? Near the
No,
coast?
because it's whether it's we've had snow here because we're in North Yorkshire, but for some reason people still call it Cleveland. But Cleveland only existed for 6 years and then it was abolished. No, seriously, it was the council gave North Riding the name of Cleveland in I think 1994. And it stayed there. Even the police said, "Oh, we'll adopt that and we'll call ourselves Cleveland Police." And then just before the noughties, 2000, they abolished Cleveland, the title, and we went back to North Yorkshire. And after the T's, it then becomes Teesside and then up to Northumbria. But we still keep getting it called Cleveland, and it's never been Cleveland, not for a long time anyway. And before it was Cleveland, it was still North Riding. So why Skelton in Cleveland, which is the next town to me, is called Skelton in Cleveland when it was in North Riding before Cleveland existed? Does that make sense? Because Skelton has a castle and it's named in the Domesday Book, but it wasn't back in the day Skelton in Cleveland. It was Skelton, North Riding. So now they've given it a title in Cleveland and it's stuck with it. But
oh, wow.
That's me just waffling. Me and my good buddy were talking about this the other day and I thought, right, that'll make a good topic. Yeah. But yeah, it's we do get the snow. We're high up. We're on the moor. We are close to the sea, so whether the sea air and the salt and everything else. But I always remember going to the seaside and my dad, and we lived inland, and my dad said, "Oh, the sea air will make you sleep tonight, son." Well, I live on the edge of the cliff and I can't sleep. I've got insomnia, so I don't know what happened there, like. But my wife...
If that can't help you, then nothing can it, really?
Well, I think it was just them tiring us out and not feeding us. We were undernourished, so we...
Yeah. So, generally, I start off and ask where it all started for you. So, were you always a medium? When did you actually realise?
It was my early youth, before my adolescence. There was little things happening which I didn't understand because my parents or my mum hadn't explained anything to me. It's not that thing that when you're born they automatically know whether you're gifted or not. Because my mum was a medium and my gran was also the early form of clairvoyance and tea leaf person she was. So there was always that being in a family of 4 siblings, that one of us might have that gift. And fortunately, it was me. I mean, it's an amazing gift, as you know, being sensitive, and it just went from there. I said it. I said the other day, talking to someone on here, the haunted school I went to, which was an old manor house. History was my best lesson, because this 16th century building, which was my school, I spent all day talking to the spirits, and they were giving me the answers. And the teacher was shouting, thinking I was just away with the fairies, and well, I was really, but yeah, it was. It was them early days experience. My mum was one of my best teachers I've had to date. Unfortunately, she's not with us now, but I think she taught us a lot in such a short time. But yet she wasn't a person who went out there and did it, but she was just as good as me, if not better, in her development, because things she told me, I still pass on to good people like yourself now, and
Wow.
what you hear from my experiences is a mirror of what my mum was as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, did your friends know that you could do
Well,
mediumship?
I was. It was weird because I have a daughter now who's 25, and when she was young, a movie came out for Disney, and it was called Paranorman. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's about a little kid called Norman. He was fat, he was ginger, and he could hear dead people. And he kept it to himself at school. Well, that was me.
Oh, bless you.
The
Yeah.
film wasn't named after me. I was fat, I was ginger, and I went to school and kept everything to myself, because in the 70s and 80s, you just saying, "Oh, by the way, I can see dead people." It was a taboo back then.
It
It
was.
wasn't what it is today, and I dare say that um, there'll be children in school now who have that early form of the gift, and it'll become a topic, because we move with the times, just like everything else, our race, our colour, our sex, and what we're into. It becomes part of our schooling as well. And before long, it will become a topic in school where there may be a gifted child there who has this ability to connect with spirit. And if the school's broad-minded, or the teacher is, then it may become. I know I've been invited to a university to take part in a lecture with someone else who's covering the the physics side of energy, and how as a physical medium, an energy medium, how the two come together. And if I can entertain 45 students sat there with just my knowledge of how I work with energy, then it yeah, it's if the universities are looking at it. But some of the big people in universities have studied this for many years, haven't they?
Yes.
There is a department there for this. We're not the people who sit in the corner huddled together talk to ourselves anymore. We're actually professional people in the field of mediumship. Yeah.
Yeah. I've spoken to Dr. Cal Cooper as well with some of his ideas.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
He give you
it's
some
like a
tips.
whole different aspect, isn't it? It's
Yeah, yeah.
which
And
is interesting as well.
it's like I've said before, we're developing in this field, not just the mediumship, but the paranormal side, and things which our spirit guides are given to us, which we never knew before. It's a field where you don't achieve a certificate at the end of it and say, right, you're fully qualified, because my mum was still developing until the day she died. There was still things she was learning. And I mean, this is me speaking. I don't think there's a level you get to where you can't learn anymore. And not just in mediumship, but in everything in life. And this is what I love about the spiritualism, the mediumship. Spirits always blow me away with something new every other day. If it's an event I'm doing, if it's a one-to-one reading, or just my interaction with my spirit guide, then it's like I always get wowed every day. I do.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
It is just it is amazing though, isn't it? Like I'm fairly new to like this mediumship side of things, and you try and work out answers to things, but then something else comes up, then you've got more questions, and you just end up with more questions over time.
If you spend, this is my mum speaking now, if you spend too much time trying to think of what you should say, you're probably going to say the wrong thing. Just say what you see. That's everything she said. I think she invented catchphrase before it was catchphrase. And she said to me, there's some good people in the chat now. Paul, my friend, Louise, Colette, hello there. These people have heard me say this many, many times. My mum said to me, because I questioned it all the time, and being the inquisitive little fat ginger kid I was, it was like, oh, Mum, why is this happening? And she said, Neil, it's you going in and out of frequency with connecting to. I think my mum was more advanced than what some people are now, because we're talking, I was a 69 baby, so I was talking about mediumship in the late 70s, early 80s, and it was always, we'll talk about it later, son. And I mean, I can't think of anyone else I've spoke to who said they've had this experience as early as that. I've read about people, Maria Dolan and people like that, and Derek Akara. But yeah, it's always been there, but like I said, it just hasn't come to where we're at now with it. Going back to me rambling, and my mum always said, whatever you get given, Neil, just take. She said, but when you get given it, pretend you're holding it in an imaginary sieve, a colander. And if it comes through the bottom of that, then give that in the reading. And this is later on in my mediumship. And she said, at the end of the session, when you're finished, just ask some questions, tell them you're not now doing your mediumship, but you're going to give them everything which is held here. And I used to always find that them things which were first given to me and I held on to were actually things which they could accept and were associated or new links to where I would have went off and kept on the same tracks. My fear, and my mum always said, if you're on a journey, Neil, and it's a straight and weavy road like that, and you think, I'm going to take this side cut here because I might get there quicker. She said, if that's the wrong information you take, you'll never get back onto the road you're supposed to be on. So when you're talking to someone, once you go there and up, they can't accept anything on this second path. So if you'll never get to where you want to do in the reading because you've now gone off somewhere. So keep on the same road, keep on that same journey in what you're telling them, and they'll more than likely accept everything which comes through. But if you take that little shortcut and don't and give them something you think might be worthwhile, that's it. You lose them, because it's as a sensitive person explaining something in your head, you've got that image in your head. Who they look like, what they're wearing, the glasses, the facial hair, the smile and everything. But me trying to explain what my mum looked to you and you drawing that image, you'd never get it right, because it's my image, it's not yours. And unless you've seen the same person, you would never, if I said, right, that's what she looks like, you'd say, oh, I didn't look like that in my head. So you have to keep on that same track with the information, because everything you say after that, they won't accept. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But it's difficult with the messages as well. Like, obviously, like, you might see something and you've got to be careful how you deliver it. And oh no, I've sort of seen things myself and mentioned things and people have cried, and it's like happy tears, you know, but it's like, oh no, it's it's only happened to me twice, but that was awkward.
But if they come to you and ask, then obviously they're opening themselves up for that. And all people who get a reading from a medium, when asked, would expect that emotion to come with it as well.
Yeah.
I did a investigation in a local pub not too far away from here a couple of weeks back. Our friend from here, Paul, was with us doing the film work for GSI. And I had to stop and say to everyone, I need a break now. I'm getting too upset, because what was being given to me was literally going to make me cry. And I'm not afraid to cry. I mean, it's just a feeling which is one of many everyone gets. And if you don't release it, then obviously you bottle it up. And then we go on
Yeah.
to a different live stream altogether, talking about bottled up feelings, don't we? But it's a natural thing. It's a natural occurrence. I've always asked myself, can you cry underwater? But I've never tried it. But yeah, it's you're thinking about that one. It's
Yeah, it was.
something you have to release. And I stopped, and after I broke the link from the person I was connecting to, because he was showing me how he died, and his dog sat with him all night long until the next day, until he was found. And that was just too much, because I love the animal kingdom and I love everything I do with people. And when you've experienced losses yourself, and I have, and this is what's made me a better medium, then it was only then that I become more passionate. Like normally I would sit there and give that information and the person would be upset, and I couldn't sympathize and empathize with them because I'd never lost anything in my life. And we're not talking about £10 down the drain and something like that. We're on about our loved ones. Yeah. And I had a triple bereavement in 2011 where I lost my mum, my dad, and my sister within weeks and months of each other. And it was only then, after me dealing with that and me grieving for these three people and learning how to deal with it thereafter, that I think I became a better person. Because when I give a reading and I talked about something which was that sensitive and that person cried, I cried with them, because it helped me grieve for what I was still holding on to myself.
That's right.
And it helped them as well. But I've always said from the start, always celebrate the person's life and not grieve or mourn the death, because I can tell you all about my mum and dad now and what they did and achieved in life. And I'll cry doing it, but I'll do it with joy, because there's nothing worse sitting back and just crying because they're not here. And as I've always said, there's no goodbyes when they leave to spirit. They're with you all the time. It's the more likely to be with you more, because time doesn't exist in the spirit world. It's a man-made thing. It's only when you're here on this earth plane that you have to work in the time zones, don't you? You can't be here and in Australia where my brother lives, then back in Whitby where my other brother lives in that split second time, because it's man-made. But from spirit world, you've got a fast track for every ride you have.
Yeah. I said earlier, like I was out with a friend, and I just randomly had some cat balls in my bag, so I just put them out, and I ended up talking to my dad, and it's just amazing. A night, we're just having a girly night, and it just went a bit.
Yeah.
But it's that was.
Going back to frequencies and my teacher, my mum, I can remember saying to her, Mum, when I hear things, it sounds like you're shouting my name and I'm laid underwater in the bath messing about. And it was like a muddy sound. It was like listening to someone underwater. You could hear them saying, get out of the bath, but you were laid looking up and you couldn't hear what they were saying. The mouth was doing a Charlie Brown. Oh. And she said, Neil, we work with frequencies here. I mean, this is a lady telling me about it in the 80s. I mean, we didn't even have a TV you could tune in, but she'd made such a good connection with her guide and guides that, I mean, she was taught to a level which she should have been on stage along with the best doing that. But again, imagine walking up your garden path saying to your neighbours, I'm just going to talk to the dead people in the local community centre. I'll be back about 8:30 for the bingo. It's like it just never happened. It never happened. And it's only because of these new channels which came onto our terrestrial and digital TV in the early 90s, like Your Most Haunted and then by other things. Because I do believe the UK was given that kick up the backside by Your Most Haunted program. Right. Because what other channel or program was on prior to that? Nothing, was there? It was always a documentary, and even then it was done by someone you'd never heard of. And
well, it's Tales of the Unexpected, wasn't it? It's just stories. It was nothing like Most Haunted.
Did you know
that actually got me into paranormal?
That was a famous author, wasn't it? Wasn't it Ena Blyton's or somewhere along that line?
Oh, I can't remember.
I've just heard this recently, but Tales of the Unexpected, which was always like lunchtime horror, which was never anything scary than a thriller, was written by a famous children's author. So anyone in the chat, Paul, you'll be able to do it. Who wrote all the Tales of the Unexpected? When he comes back in the comments, he'll tell you it was a famous author who wrote children's novels. Yeah. But I only just learned that recently.
Okay, so I'll have a quick shout out then to Caroline May Sambrook, Clem McCardle, Justin Phantom, Lo Haddo, Paul Mann, Annette Locke, Joseph James Kelly, Mark, Leslie Hudson, Vicky Cook. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope everyone's all right. Melanie Nash, just working through Sarah Edwards, Tina L. Norgrove, LJ Norgrove even, and Luke Allerton. Hope everyone's all right. Hope everyone's staying safe. If you have any questions for Neil, if you just add them to the chat, then we'll try and ask Neil them. So, did your mum give you loads of tips, or did she keep helping you along the way?
There was. I mean, my dad wasn't a believer. I can remember my first incident with spirit, and it was me seeing something happening in the very near future, and it actually happened the next day. But when I was stood in the kitchen, my mum stood there peeling the potatoes. I always remember this, and I come in with a picture of an accident I'd seen, and I drew the house, the two vehicles, a little roadside sign with the name of our road on, and it was two cars crashed up cartoon style into each other. And I said, "Oh, Mum, see this here?" And she said, "Oh, that's good." She said, "What's happened?" I said, "Well, that's going to happen." And I just felt this huge warm hand on the back of my head from nowhere, and it was my dad. And I can't say what he told me not to do, but it went along the lines of "Don't you bloody start" as well. But, and that was that. But it's took his death for him to understand that there is an afterlife, because him and my mum are the two biggest people here who were once on this earth plane, who were around me all the time. The love they had for the family and every individual, the siblings, the brothers and sister, they're still doing the same now. They're in and out of my ether all the time. Everywhere I am, they're there. And I think my dad's just there because he has to be, because he went everywhere with my mum, and my mum's there to say, "I told you so." Yeah.
That's great. We've got a question here then. This is from Sarah Edwards. She hears a lot about spirit mediums having a family member who had medium abilities. Do you think it's a gift that runs in families?
Yes, Sarah. Hello. Good evening. As I said in the beginning of this show, it's normally passed down in a generation. Now, my gran was the typical tea leaf reader. She would sit in a street house, and someone would say, "Oh, then Heather, what's happening today?" And she'd make a cup of tea and have a look at the bottom of it and tell them the kind of clairvoyant side of the spiritualism. Where my mum saw spirit, she heard spirit, and through her experiences, she then passed them on, or should I say, once I came along, and they realised there was something special about me, she started passing on her experiences with me and became the tutor, the teacher, and she did a really good job. My mum was at a level far higher than I've ever been or I'll ever get to. And it's only something I've just realised through this chat today that, I mean, when my mum was born 1941, and she was teaching me mediumship in the late 70s and 80s when no one ever was talking about it. Maybe we're a spooky Adams style family, that's right.
Oh, bless you.
But yeah, it does run in a generation. When my daughter was born, and she realised that her dad wasn't called Spooky Kooky for a reason, and she realised it was because he could speak to dead people. He once said to me, "Dad, will this happen to me?" And I said, "Well, there's a possibility, or it could be your children." I introduced her to a spirit guide who was also called Heather, but no connections to my gran. And I always tell her when spirit is around her and when things are happening in her life, as daddies would do anyway to the beautiful daughter. But as of yet, she's had no experience, feelings or anything to do with what I said may or may not happen. So she's as flat as a pancake when it comes to spiritualism. She has come along on some of our events. Husband to be came along, Sean, but spent most of the time stood outside the gents' toilets. But that's just a private joke.
Okay.
But yeah, it was. She's into it. She likes it, and they've come along and they've experienced spirit. But it may not just be for her. And she's the only one now who's going to produce the third, fourth, fifth generation kooky spooky or spooky
Cool.
kooky. Yeah. So we'll see.
So if somebody wants to go down the mediumship route, then what do you think? Should they go and develop, or what was the best way to try and
open yourself up to it first? You can go to the local spiritual church. You can do your meditation at home. Like I said to a friend of mine on here, only do short little increments of time. Don't lay there for an hour and try and connect to anything other than the car horn, the taxi, and the doorbell, and the new text coming through on your new Pixel 5. Just do little tiny increments. What we have to do is quieten our mind and get it down from radio 1, which is the busy day, right away down to radio 5 when we're listening to it and falling asleep like that. So until we get rid of all that junk out of our head, that is when we're going to connect to spirit. So practice that at home. Open yourself up. If you dare, go along to some of these reputable paranormal events with decent people. And I mean, there was a guy, I'll mention him, Michael McIver. He came along to some of our very first hunts. And I'd pulled him to one side and I said to him, I didn't know him from Adam. I said, you have this gift. I know we all have the gift, but it's just learning to use it. And I said, Michael, you have this gift. It's something that you can open up and learn to work with and do what I'm doing now one day. It's how quickly you develop. And he said, all right, okay. Then he said, I do feel a bit spiritual anyway. And now he has his own live stream channel many years later, and he does his little card readings, and he's done the podium at the local spiritual church I do. So it's we can all do it if we say what we see. And if it's your first time in doing it and you're very scared and apprehensive, then don't do it with anyone you don't know. You do know, because obviously your mind will be influenced by family members and thoughts and people you would know. And just a friend who you work with, a colleague, just say, look, this is what I'm doing. I'm developing. I'm only at this level, but let me just sit opposite you and we both close our minds and see if I get anything. This is what they do at the church. See if anything comes through. And if it does, I'll pass it. And it'll either be nonsense or it may be something, but it just helps me making sense of what I'm seeing up here. That's all you have to do. We do it at the local spiritual church. We do the healing circle. We all sit around, we face each other, and we just quiet our minds and then see what comes through. And when you say what you see, it's normally right.
Yeah, that's it, because you do get these random images that don't fit in with anything that you've done all day. They just come from nowhere.
But they are a sign. It's. I've always said the signs are there. People will come to me and they'll say, "Oh, I'd like a reading from my granddad," and I said, "Well, I can't just pull him down, but let's build the energy up first." And the family members have come through, and halfway through, I've mentioned something and said, "Oh yeah, I heard that on the radio this morning." Well, there you go. And he's talking about this one flower growing in the garden. Oh yeah. My husband was going to pull it out, and I said, "No, I'll leave it because my granddad liked them." Well, there's your signs. It's like it's growing there to say I'm still here, and I'm just reminding you. And until you open yourself up or take it as a sign from spirit, then this is it. We kind of shut them off. We see things out of our peripheral vision and just go, nothing. Or we do that Darren Brown thing, don't we? We see it all, but we don't physically absorb. Well, we do, but we just don't mentally until someone mentions it. Then you go, oh yeah, I was on the bus and it was written on the side. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Paul Mans just said something there, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yes, he more or
Roald
less.
Dahl.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Tales
Yeah,
of the Unexpected.
Roald Dahl. Yeah. That was the person who wrote the Tales of the Unexpected. James and the Giant's Peach and
that's it. I'd forgot actually. It's so long ago, but yeah, I remember now it was him. But it's like, yeah, I remember now. As you
the
say,
signs were there.
yeah. So Paul says he believes everyone has the ability; it just needs maturing. And is that the case?
It is the case, and I've told this to Paul recently anyway, because he won't leave me alone. No, I'm joking. Paul, we'll talk about Paul in a minute. We've got some adventures which is worth a watch. But yeah, we're all born with this gift, and we were working not so long back, putting something together of something similar to The Ghost Within My Child. You saw it on TV. A boy described a place he could never have been to, and a job he wasn't even old enough to do, but he'd mentioned it all, in the place and the house on the hill and everything. And the camera crew took him there, and there it all was. And history showed this exact same person who, and the program is Ghost Within My Child. Well, me and Vicky got approached some years ago and asked if we could answer the mum's questions. And we said, we can, but you can't just say to a kid, tell me about this train you keep driving in, because he'll talk about Thomas the Tank Engine all day long. Yeah. I said, the only way we're going to do it is just turn up, pretend we're here to see you, and listen to his interaction with spirit, or if he has the urge, being spiritual, to tell us anything. We'll have a voice recorder going and a camera facing the wall if we pick up any audio that way. And this guy, this young 4-year-old, I think he was, or was he 5? He was on about his local town, and I do believe if we're going to carnate, we do carnate in the same area where our family wads were at times. And he was talking about an old train station, which is there still. He was talking about a brick-built building on the platform, which he was the conductor and pulling the levers for the points. It was there. We found the imagery of these pictures from yesteryear there. And this 5-year-old boy is talking about his experience, right down to the cap he wore and everything. And not once did he mention the Fat Controller, and the train had a face on the front. So it just come from up here. But it's that gift is there. It's the older we get, it fills up with clutter, girlfriends, boyfriends, car payments, mortgages, and gardening. Yeah. So it never goes away. We just fill it up with clutter. It's like the wardrobe. You can't get to your best clothing because it's just full of all the other fashion you've just built up. Clear it all out, and that one thing will be there shining, the holy grail of what you're looking for. And that's the same with connecting to spirit. Clear all the clutter out. That small amount of meditation every now and then just clears all of that out. And then ask spirit. Let them know you're aware. Let them know you're open to spirit. They're not going to jump out from under the bed and go boo. They're going to make them subtle connections. It's always going to be a loved one and nothing else. You're not going to get something demonic like you see in the movies, because nothing's going to pull you out of bed and through the light switch in the top of the ceiling. That's just movie stuff. The most negative thing you'll ever connect with in spirit would be the grumpy old man next door. I mean, what once walked on this earth are the only people you can connect with in spirit. So don't fear it. It's the ones which are out there living with a pulse you need to fear, not the dead.
Yeah, people. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's too many of them around, aren't there?
Oh, no, yeah.
Bad ones. So the paranormal side then, you've got GSI and you've got your new project as well.
Yes, GSI, we started off 9 years ago. It only took off socially side of it a little recent. That'll have been around 7 years ago, we were always doing the things going bump in the night with our batteries in the dark, but it was never a big thing, as in like social media and live stream wasn't a thing. YouTube was just somewhere you could watch how to fix your car. And it wasn't until that side of it took off that we presented it. On our journey, I mean, I was always the medium. Vicky was always the paranormal investigator with our good friend Jan Leonard. And it was always looking for somewhere to go and get chased out of some old derelict church. Get out, I know where you live. And we got chased out of the building. We were like early urban explorers. And it wasn't until the social media side of things picked up that we said, right, we'll set up a page. We worked with two guys who were working with another team, Shane and Andrew. These two guys kind of put us on the map because one was an audio and visual technician and the other one knew his way around the social media side of it, and he sent us out as being part of the team as well to all the right spots, all the right people, all the channels where they would love all the stuff we were doing. And GSI, I think, topped out at about 14,000 followers to date. But the thing is, we haven't had a chance to do anything with the channel in the last 2 years because of COVID and the restrictions. We still post on there, but there's so much we could be doing. But until the floodgates are opened and we can be more free spirit again, then it's kind of just sat there. We'd like to get out to a bigger audience, but until the government unties everyone's hands and they can do a lot more, then we just have to wait and see. Our other thing, paranormal is a massive passion of mine, as you know. I'm not only the medium, but I'm the paranormal investigator. And paranormal and history go together. And we, like I said earlier on about being at school, paranormal and history, it was just a jigsaw. You just finding the right piece and learning that history lesson. And everywhere we've gone to as paranormal hunters, spirit have come along and said, I belong to the 18th century. This is what I wore. This is what I did. And this is where I worked. And this is my family. And you got to learn about everything in the past. And although I passed that through with the medium side of it to the other guys, they got to know about a piece of this guy's history back in the 18th century. So the two always go together. It's like Richard Felix said to me one time. He said, Neil, he said, you guys are worth your weight in gold. He said, because when they were doing the census, it was always the medium. No, sorry. When they were doing the census back in the day, a guy walked to every farm, every outbuilding and everywhere and written how many people lived in the house. And there was always one hid in the hay shed, a traveller coming across to find work that was never found. But you guys bump into him in history, in the spiritual side of things, and give him a name and give him a date of birth and tell us everything we did. I mean, he's not on census because no one knew about him, but he's there in spirit and you've connected to him. But it's so a guy who's on this channel now watching this, Paul, my good friend, he's also part of GSI Paranormal, Paul Mann. He is mad into his history and he loves working with us in the paranormal side of it because, like I said, it gels together. And me and him kind of, we have this passion about North Yorkshire, old things, trains, caves, mines, anything which was once here and left its footprint in history of the revolution of from the trains to the iron ore to everything which was ever built for a reason to make this country where it is now. We just want to go back and talk about that history. It does sometimes mean climbing into old buildings and watching you don't fall through the floor because it's rotted away. We walked through a long 1.5 mile tunnel the other week and we realised midway through that the main keystone hole in the roof up was hanging down ready to drop. So we had to evacuate that. And we have some nice kit for doing this, a lot of batteries and torches and our proton packs on the back. And if paranormal and spiritual comes along with us, even better, because I can talk to spirits and he can write down all the history they give him.
Have you discovered anything? I did a ghost walk with Richard Felix the other day, and he mentioned this car park, and basically bones had been there for ages, and now it's just a car park. But have you been on your travels and realised that there's a graveyard somewhere which isn't there now, or a historic building or something?
Not in my early days of urban exploration, no. But there is a story which I'd like to pinpoint why this was part of my childhood. We used to live in a town called Middlesbrough, me and my brothers and sister, and we used to commute from Middlesbrough all the way over to the seaside town of Redcar, if anyone knows of these locations.
Yeah.
And the journey took us through a little village called Kirkleatham, which has a little church there. Back in the, I think, 17th century, there was a big manor house there. And it was just a route the bus cut through to pick up maybe an old person and get them back on the main road to go into town. And it was a one-stop village. The bus stopped once and off it went. Now, on the journey to my grand's, I was all of 4 and 5, just like this kid we spoke about earlier on. And every time the bus turned into this turning for this location to pick up maybe one person, unbeknownst to me, I can't remember it, but my mum used to say, I always said, Mum, this is where I got stabbed in my deck chair. Now, I was talking babyish, and stabbed was dabbed, and deck chair, they knew what I meant, but I just couldn't pronounce it. And it become a family joke. Is that where you got stabbed in your deck chair, Neil? And it stuck with me forever and ever. My brothers still say it to me now. And I'm curious why, while sat on a bus with a window higher than my head, so all steamed up on a very old, cold, frosty night, with the windows steamed up, how I knew where we were at and why there was a graveyard we were passing when I used to say that. So the question I keep asking myself now, is it a past life regression?
Yeah.
Am I actually buried in that graveyard? Did I get stabbed because I was going to a seaside town? The deck chair makes sense, but they buried me in that graveyard. But also, where the manor house once stood, it was heavily guarded by the soldiers in the wars, because they built a lot of sentry points around there, which are still there today. And it's somewhere where myself and Paul are going to adventure on our YouTube channel, Urban Explorations. And I'm sponsored by that. No, so that's somewhere we're going to go. And we have been to this graveyard, myself and GSI, and done some call out and asked a few questions. And I've done my little bit on my own. And it's been like, for what I'm trying to look for, it's flat. I think someone's going to have to hypnotize me and take me back and see if that comes out, see what that was. It's a life unanswered question for me to date. I still don't know why I used to say, Mum, this is where I got stabbed in my deck chair.
I love stories and mysteries like this, because I've got a big mystery at the moment. Because Robin Hood Legacy, I've been to loads of times. Obviously, it's in Nottingham, and there's 3 other locations in Nottingham which have links to it, because the guy used to go to 2 pubs and work at the Galleries of Justice. My past life regression took me to there.
Oh, wow.
So in the 1200s, I actually lived in that building, or thereabouts. And I've now got to go back, because I want to try and communicate with people who knew me at the time. But I need to ask the guy who resides there as a spirit to move out the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Does he remember you when you were there?
I've had so much interaction with him. He's even been to my house and admitted it as well. He came through trance mediumship. Daniel Hopkins brought him through in trance once, and he admitted that he'd been to my house and held my bird's foot on the cage.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it was on the Wednesday, and then on the Friday, Dan went into trance and sort of said, did you do anything to my bird, John? And he said, yeah, I held the little... It's like, oh my gosh. it's spot on. Because he got his foot stuck on the cage. Now the
Yeah,
bird's like 10 years old. It isn't going
uh-huh,
to happen.
yeah.
You know,
Unless someone
and
was holding on to its energy.
yeah. So it's something that I actually noticed. So that when Daniel went into trance and to actually come out with that, it's like, oh yeah, he was.
Yeah. Wow. Uh-huh. Wow.
But
That's
I've
amazing.
also been threatened when I went to a Skirrid as well.
Right.
Because somebody did a drawing saying that somebody was going to be waiting for me at the Skirrid,
Mm-hmm.
and he had a little pocket watch saying 4 o'clock.
Uh-huh.
So we're heading to the Skirrid at night and just drove to the campsite. And on the way, we just found a random pub, thought we'd have a coffee. It was a Skirrid. Didn't realise until obviously you just get that, and weren't expecting it en route.
Uh-huh.
And I took the picture in, and they said it was hanging just Jeffries, who actually had links with the galleries and
Oh,
John.
really?
And so it's all odd, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. It's well, it isn't. It's part of the jigsaw, isn't it? It's
Yeah, I love
yeah,
it. And Patricia Amphora was watching, and I mentioned this story when I was chatting to her one night, and she actually picked up that I'd probably been hung at the Galleries of Justice,
yeah. Wow.
which will potentially mean another past life
Yeah.
when maybe this John actually found me guilty of something.
I
And
wonder
it's
what you
just
did
so
wrong.
crazy, isn't it?
You were a naughty girl.
Wow, they just hung everyone for no reason, didn't they, in those
Yeah.
days?
Where this is it for stealing bread and for not. I mean, you got put in jail for a lot less back then than what you do now. Anyway.
Well,
Yeah.
that's right, because they couldn't even, they couldn't feed themselves, so they stole food just to survive, really. And then
Yeah.
they got hung for it.
That's right.
But yeah,
Yeah.
got an interesting question here from Sarah Edwards. Then, what's your thoughts on astral travel?
I spoke about this the other night, Sarah. I don't know if you were on the show. I don't mean that rudely, but I know little about it. It's yes, it can happen. People can view other places and travel to and fro. I believe I've done a little bit myself, along with remote viewing. But it's people. There's a question we were asking. It can someone astral travel to you and manipulate you and do things to you and travel back without you knowing? Well, if everyone has a spirit guide, everyone has protection, whether you call it a guardian angel, your spirit guide, and all the circle of guides which we have of our loved ones in spirit. Would it happen? I don't believe so, without your knowledge. But it's something I've never really delved into that much, Jacqueline.
Yeah,
It's never been. It's like people say, "Oh, do you do tarot cards?" Well, tarot is clairvoyance, and I can tell you clairvoyance, but I
yeah,
don't need a piece of card to make it fit. But I'd rather tell you about your loved ones in spirit first, win your trust, and then everything I tell you is going to happen in the future. You know, I'm a decent guy anyway. But
yeah,
just to say, do this because this card says so, and I'm not knocking the thing. Some people work with spiritualism in different ways, but a lot of questions is, do you do tarot? Well, I do clairvoyance, and that's the same. Mm-hmm.
yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
There was a question about astral travel, though, that if people did astral travel, then can a person see them as a ghost if they're astral traveling?
It's 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 energy.
It's mad,
Good
isn't it?
question. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I believe they can, because I know after going to my brother-in-law's after my sister died, and he spoke of seeing my mother stood at the end of the driveway
Wow.
whilst my sister was on a deathbed, and she died at home on a farm where she lived, and my mum had gone there. And she was still alive as well. My sister passed first, then my mum, and then my dad. And it was in such a short time, and it was all within 2011. Well, the time he spoke of seeing my mum, I knew she was still here in the physical world. and she had no sign that a transition was going to take place, or she was fit and healthy. It was a sudden thing. So had she knew in her spiritual mind that things were coming to a close, and my mum hadn't seen her daughter for, I would say, nearly 10 years because of a family feud. So had she took that liberty to go and astral travel there without invading them and just standing there and seeing what she needed to see before she spiritually knew her time had come, which was very shortly afterwards. It's something my mum never talked about. We spoke about remote viewing and looking at places you haven't been to and describing them. I used to do it on all my girlfriends. Not that I had many, like, but it's like so I would then tell me all about you. Well, I'm gonna have a look at around your bedroom, but yeah, it was. It's not something we ever really talked about, and it doesn't get talked about that much neither. It's not for the stuff I follow anyway.
Mm-hmm. So Sarah was asking the question because she's a big part of her grandkids' lives. And the other night she dreamt she was in her daughter's house. Her daughter called in the morning and said she'd been up all night with Tilly, and she was adamant I was downstairs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So then you would have astral traveled. You would have had an out of body experience. You would have traveled on this occasion. I would take that as a yes then. Based on what you're saying. I'm not going to say it's impossible. I don't know too much about it. Do you know, I answered the question the way I did because I got answered a funny. One of the questions which came straight up as soon as we went live the other night was, can someone actually invade my ether and astral travel without my permission? And I thought, all these questions, and they were adamant to say that it's happening, and I couldn't answer the question because I held my hands up and I said I don't know that much about it. I didn't want to try and make myself look stupid, and I just had to say what I basically said tonight. I know,
and I respect you for that as well.
Yeah.
So why make up an answer when you don't know? And that is great.
I would make myself look silly because there's a lot more educated people out there who may watch this in time to come, and I'll just look stupid. And yes, maybe I should learn more. Maybe that's my next thing this year. I'll stick it on my to-do list. I'll start looking into that. Do I intend to astral travel? Inadvertently, no. If it happens, it happens. I won't come and see any of yous. I'll go and haunt Paul. Where's Bob come from? Have we got Bob? I don't know where that come from. Yeah, but yeah, I need to look into that a little bit more because this is becoming a topic now. This is the second live streamer I've been
interesting. So there's a reason for that then.
Yeah, maybe.
Definitely. So Yvonne says, what happens to relatives that you didn't get on with or liked after death? Do you think we have to relive that time again with them?
No, we don't. When we get to heaven, whichever heaven you've created, and what I mean by that is people say, will my mum and dad be looking down at me, watching me from heaven? Well, they'll be looking at you, but they're not in the down procedure because heaven is around us. It's a different dimension to what we are in now. And every now and then, when we sink into the frequency, we connect with them, and they're in that heavenly kingdom. And whatever we call it, it's. I don't want to go down the church route here, but it's just a name being given, and heaven is what we create. So I'm getting distracted here. Right. When we get to heaven, whichever heaven we've created, as I started off with, it's like going through the customs at the airport. Everything we can't take with us, we leave Yep, the guns, the
Right.
knives, the cannabis, the cigarettes, the 2 extra bottles of vodka in the mum's handbag, all has to be left there. So let's just pretend all that is the grudges, the heartache, the illnesses, the cancers, the missing fingers, and everything else.
Yeah.
And soon as you go through that buzzer, which allows you to go through, as in the gates, that's it. You're whole. You're complete.
Yeah.
No one has ever connected with me as a medium from heaven and said, and tell him I still haven't forgiven him for him kicking my football in the next door's garden. I mean, they'll laugh and joke and say, tell him about when he kicked the football into the garden. But what they won't say is, the little bugger still owes me 20 quid.
Yeah.
It's I was given a reading once, and it was the same person I cried with her. And this little boy who I'd connected to, bless him, he'd come through and he was showing his energy and he was dancing about and this, that, and the other. And I mentioned him. She said, "No, can't be him." And I asked for validation, and he said, "Tell Mammy that I've got them all back." And I did exactly what he did. I said,
Oh.
he said he's got them all back, and well, a coffee come out of her mouth. She sobbed,
Oh,
and
bless.
mum was sobbing, and I started sobbing. Didn't even know I was sobbing. He had meningitis. He lost all his limbs,
Oh.
and unfortunately, it took his life. So he'd lost numerous digits and
Oh, bless him.
toes, and I think he was an amputee on an arm, something like that. And he's dancing around. He's going, "Tell Mammy I've got him all." And I said, other than standing up, I said, he's telling me to do this. He's got them all back. He's got them all back. Well, she knew that was the validation she needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And oh my gosh, for her to leave that reading as well.
Yeah.
Like, that would just stay with her, won't it now? It's brilliant.
Oh, yes. It's I mean, I love when we get validation like that. We talked about the other night, we did something for a TV company with David Barrett, for those who know who he is in the Paranormal Kingdom. And it was going to be aired on US TV first, and now it's over here in the United Kingdom, and probably will be on every free review channel for the rest of our lives. And I did the mediumship walk around and spent an hour with the camera crew going to all these locations, these areas within these prisons where I felt drawn to. And everything I connected to was recorded. Every animal I picked up whilst in there, the prisoner's dog he took to work with him, even naming every individual person who was intelligent and come forward and said, "My name's Campbell," and tell them about this. When we started the paranormal side of the event in more or less the second half of the filming, every single thing which was asked confirmed what I'd already picked up on, which was recorded.
Absolutely awesome.
And they must have knew me, as in like they knew I was coming, because I forget, someone said, "Oh, what was the dog?" "Oh, it was David." He said, "What was the dog Neil connected to?" And this Scottish voice just went, "A bulldog." And he said, "Is that right?" And I think in the edited clip, they brought that section in alongside to show that 2 hours earlier, that was the animal. And then one Scottish guy kept answering David. He said, "Where's Neil from?" And he went, "England."
Wow.
And he said, then he said, "We can see him," in this other Scottish voice. And I said, "How many fingers am I holding up?" And he went, "Neil Cook, is that you?" It's in the video anyway. It's awesome. It's in the episode. It was like, wow, that's the first time they've called me by my full name, like Neil Cook.
That's fantastic.
Just Neil normally, but yeah, that was that crossover evidence you always look for.
Yeah, that's right.
And as a medium on a podium or working an audience, you would ask a question and give that what you think is right to the individual, and you'd see the look on the face like, well, that could be 10 of people who I know in spirit. So you go back and you ask for that validation. I was given
that's right.
a home reading once in my old house, and I said, "I've got a grandfather figure," and he said, "Well, it could be my dad." And I said, "No, this is your granddad." And he said, "Well, I've got 2 granddads, of course." And I said, well, he's shown me that he's got a finger missing. He said, oh, that's Grandad Joe. Yeah, he lost it. He was on a chocolate something. And that's all he needed to
Yeah.
give me. And this is where we're talking about going off on that path and going the wrong way. It's like, keep with the direct information we get given from spirit.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you how to get from your house to the galleries of justice by taking all the main roads.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
you can do that with your eyes closed. But then Google might say, oh, there's a traffic jam at this junction, that junction. So you go off on that side road and weave your way through, and you never get to where you want to be or where the medium's trying to get you to, because you took the wrong route, and you just get lost after that. Does that make sense with keeping with just the information? Did I just make a cross sign?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Have you got about 5 more minutes? Are you okay for time?
Got me for as long as you want.
Oh, cheers. I've got a question from your friend. So we speak about residual energy. Has residual energy spirit passed over, and would they be aware that part of their energy is still playing over in a loop, as in stone tape theory?
So spirit normally know when we go to visit someone and they're in hospital and they're in that intensive care side of things, and the kind of lifeless, and the family are all stood round and saying the goodbyes and kisses and like leaving that little cuddly toy with them. Spirit or that person is already going through that transition to the other side, and many times that person will come back in spirit and tell the medium, I know you were holding me hands and twisting my ring around while you were talking to me. I was watching you. But the machines were still saying you were all alive. Yeah, but the transition was taking place. They know of all these things. And if you haven't heard it, you'll hear it to come as well, because it's an often thing I come across. They know you left that little teddy with a ribbon she always liked, well, little Courtney used to play with at the side, and she's still got the energy of that with her now, and her energy is passed on to that. So the transition of spirit starts long before the heart stops beating, and your timeline from here to here is set in stone. So no matter what you do from this birth to this time you're going to transition is never going to change. It's that final destination thing, right? You can do everything you want to do on that route, but you'll still transition here, right? And
I wondered that.
When you get to about this part of the end of life, you kind of know, and I'm talking hours and things like that. When you go into that state where you medically have to be put into an induced state just to preserve and make everything comfortable before you transition, your energy is already away. You're just looking at what once used to be the car, but its engine's been taken out. Does that make sense?
I've actually seen that with my gran.
Yeah.
Because my gran wasn't there, but her body was making a noise. But I was talking up there. I didn't even do mediumship then or anything. And me and my ex sort of said, well, and
so spirit, going back to Paul's question, spirit is quite aware that it takes that transition. Spirit which connects to and fro with mediums isn't called residual energy. Isn't called intelligent energy when we're working as mediums. It's only called intelligent energy when we're working as paranormal investigators, because otherwise every energy is intelligent, because we communicate as mediums with them all the time. On a paranormal event, residual energy, as you know, is what will communicate with us, the medium, the ITC, and all the equipment we have. The loop, the stone tape theory of the residual energy, which once happened in time, and that's playing on a loop to a certain date of an event. I'm sure I've just seen mist go right past you there, Jacqueline.
You're joking? So, my eyes were dodgy.
It was on the where the flowers are now, and I make it 5 minutes past 8. So if anything, if you've got a timestamp,
I've got a TV there.
No, that's not in view. So It was like a haze just move away. But that
That's
was,
weird because my eyes went suddenly. I couldn't see.
yeah,
So my
right.
eyes are a bit. My eyes have gone funny.
It could have been just, I looked from myself, because I always watch myself. I'm joking. I looked from myself over to you when I just saw what appeared to be.
Oh, bless you.
I have got a candle there underneath that figure, that
Yeah.
facial figure. It might just be a trick of the eyes, but I'm sure I saw a haze pass there.
Oh, wow.
And residual energy, it'll always just play on that loop in history. Does spirit know it's residual energy? No, it's gone off to do better things. If I was to take up a space in this room now and do something dramatic here, which maybe took my life, that emotional imprint will be there forever, right there. And the next people who buy this house say that on the 2nd of August every year, everything in this room goes funny and the electrics go funny and the dog's barking at nothing. That is my emotional footprint of something traumatic happening to me.
Wow.
So that is left. That is me taking a colour picture with a colour camera digital SLR.
Yeah.
And go, that's the colour, it's been developed, and they've given me the negative. But I'll put the negative back in the box because I don't need that because I've got the colour. The colour will fade to nothing. And in years to come, you've seen them very old pictures, which like it just looks all one colour. But the negative's still there. That is the emotional imprint of what happened to me there. So that's there, whether spirit is reincarnated or not. That'll always play there. The Battle of Taunton, 200,000 people died in one field in Yorkshire on Palm Sunday, 558 years ago, I think it is now, where the Lancashires fought the Yorkshiremen, and within 1 hour, 20 to 80,000 people had died. Yeah, they were slaughtered. We didn't have guns. We only had bows and arrows and knives. That emotional imprint now, on that day when me, Shane, and Andrew Alexandra went to do a ghost hunt, was so strong. It showed itself not only in the audio, but we have a famous picture of the man on the horseback who followed us around all night long. And that was playing constantly in my mind. I felt like I was walking through thick grass to get to the next location, because that residual energy to the exact date, other than the snow being there, was playing. The intelligent spirit was the ones which communicated with me whilst I was walking around that location. So it's two different things. Spirit will go on and reincarnate or spend some time being someone's guide, and the emotional residual side of what was playing out will just play like you forgot to turn your VCR off in the other room. Yeah, if you put the, I've got Dire Straits over there on a cassette with my audio set up. I love Dire Straits. If I put it on loop and let it play and don't switch it off, it'll still be playing next week. Just auto reverse plays the other side, auto reverse plays the other side.
Yeah.
And then I'll come back a week later and go, oh, that's still playing, and I'll switch it off. No one's listening to it. It's there and it's doing it, but it's not a physical energy, an intelligent energy. It's just recorded in time. So that's Paul's answer. Does it?
Yeah,
know?
I've just turned the TV off because of that mist issue.
I think it might be the brilliance of the TV just like casting
Yeah,
out.
I've turned it off now just to debunk, really. But yeah, I think it's something to do with the TV. But even now, it seems to be changing light. But
Yeah,
whatever.
that's why
I don't know.
I start streaming in here, because we've just had the new roof and lights put in the conservatory, and in there it's more of an orangey colour, and the camera used to try and find the best balance in light. So halfway through a stream, like it looked like there was shadows passing me, and it was just the depth of the camera trying to get the best quality out of the lens. Where now I'm sat under spotlights, and it works perfect every time. It's just the audio side now. I just have to do my silky voice.
Brilliant. I want to thank you anyway. It's been absolutely brilliant.
It's really always a pleasure. If there's anyone there, if there's anyone there who does exactly what the amazing Jacqueline Dixon does and they want to chat with me on their channel, I've got loads of spare time. Not doing much this time of the day anyway. I talk for fun. I talk for England. I talk for free. I know, yeah. I know when I'm get really old, I'm going to be one of them persons who goes, "Oh, let me tell you about this." Then I'll wander off, and before long, I get lost so about something else that I forgot what the question was. Anyway, I thought that was just other people, but it's me.
Oh, bless you. Quick one for Lisa. She wondered what the mask was. Went to Haunted Antiques and I saw it. I thought, I'll have that. And Neil, I think, was glad to get rid of it. So I left it in my boot, forgot all about it, opened my boot and thought, what the hell have I bought? But yeah. But I kind of like it. It's kind of different.
Do you think it's got any energy around it?
I don't know. I was drawn to it. There's another item I'm drawn to there as well, but there's just something about it. But I don't know, I'm quite happy with it.
I think as a child you watched too many copies of Jim Carrey and The Mask, didn't you? And you just wanted us go like that and go smoking.
I think what I do like the masks at Easter Island. So whether it's something like that ish, I don't know.
You could have been from the Hellfire Caves where they all dressed up with masks on and robes and everything else. Maybe you were into that stuff in a past life as well.
I don't know. That's a mystery, isn't it? I'll find out hopefully one day.
Yeah.
But thank you so much. And where should people contact you then? You've got a page?
I've got 2 pages on Facebook, both Neil Cook Spirit Medium. One's a public figure page and one's just the normal side of it. GSI Paranormal on Facebook. And then we've also got our YouTube channels under the same name, GSI and Neil Cook. And if anyone's into watching us making a fool of ourselves going down old caves and little small nooks and crannies, then getting stuck because we're all grumpy old men, then tune into MC Urban Explorations on YouTube. We're about to reveal all our new kit. We've just got a load of new kit and just about every battery, torch and radio to strap to us. Will probably be too heavy to actually walk.
Brilliant.
We carry about 12 batteries and only 1 torch with us.
Proper
only use one at one time. But yeah, we're doing a big reveal on all our new kits, so watch out for that, guys, on the channel.
Wow, awesome. I'll put the link in anyway, so I'll put it into the header of this stream, so you'll be able to sort of click on it and sort of get access. But take care, everyone. Thanks for watching. Yes. Thank you so much, Neil.
You're quite welcome, and have a good evening and week, guys. Enjoy yourselves.
Stay safe, everyone. Bye.
Bye.